कुंज बिहारी
बीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन
यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन
जमुना तीरावनचारी
यमुना तीरा वनचारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे
जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे
जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव जय सुभद्राम
जगन्नाथ
जगन्नाथ
जय
जय
जगन्नाथ
जगन्नाथ
बलदेव
बलदेव
जय
जय
सुभद्रम
सुभद्राम जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भव तुम्हें जगन्नाथ
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भवा तुम्हें
नाथ हरे जगन्नाथ हरे जगन्नाथ हरि बोलिए नाथ
नाद
हरे
हरे
जगन्नाथ
जगन्नाथ हरे नाद हरे जगन्नाथ हरे
सीदति राधा वास गृहे सीदति राधा वास गृहे पश्यति दिशि दिशि रहसि भवन्तं पश्यति दिशि दिशि रहसि भवन्तं तद् आधार मधुर मधुनि पिबन्तम् तद् आधार मधुर मधुनि पिबन्तम् नाथ हरे जगन्नाथ नाथ हरे जगन्नाथ हरि जय निताय गौरंग निताय गौरंग जय गौर हरि गौर 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 हरि गौर 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 हरि जय सचिनंदन गौर हरि जय सचिनंदन गौर हरि जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव श्रील श्रीपाम जय गुरुदेव श्रील श्रीपाम पतित पावन जय श्रील गुरुदेव अधम तारण जय श्रील गुरुदेव। जय 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 गुरुदेव 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 गुरुदेव। श्रीपाद 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 श्रीपाद। जय 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 प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद। जय गुरु महाराज श्रीपाद की, जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथानितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादन् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखानितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधा कान्त नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति स्वरूप दामोदर स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमः सद्भक्तमनाय मणिपुर उद्भावय च प्रभुपाद लसद्वाणी प्रचार निरताय ते। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो महावदानाय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरोत्तिसे नमो नमः। नाम संकीर्तनं जस्य सर्व पाप प्रणश्यति प्रणाम दुःख समनं तं नमामि श्री हरि परम। नारायणं नमस्कृतं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवी सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओं नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओं नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओं नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीमद् भागवतम 6th canto 11th chapter श्लोक number 22। पुंसां कलैकान्तधियां शोकानां
पुंसां कलैकान्तदीयां स्वकानां
या संपदो दिवि भूमौ रसयाम्।
या
या
सम्पदौ दिवि भूमौ
विभूमौ
रसायाम्।
नराति यद्द्वेष उद्वेगवाधीर्
न राति यद्वेष उद्वेग आधीर्।
मदः कलेर्व्यसनं संप्रयासः।
मदकलेर्व्यसनं सम्प्रयासः।
Synonyms: pumsam, unto persons, kila, certainly, ekanta dhyam, who are advanced in spiritual consciousness, swakanam, who are recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his own. Yaha, which, Sampadaha, opulences, Divi in the upper planetary systems, Bhumo in the middle planetary system, Rasayam, and in the lower planetary systems, Nanat, Rati, Vistaus, Yat, from which Dvesaha, envy, Udvegaha, anxiety, Adihi, mental agitations, Madaha, pride, Kalihi, quarrel, Vyashanam, distress due to lust, Samprayasaha, great endeavor. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. Persons who fully surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always think of his lotus feet are accepted and recognized by the Lord as his own personal assistants or servants. The Lord never bestows upon such servants the brilliant opulences of the upper, lower, and middle planetary systems of this material world. When one possesses material opulences in any of these three divisions of the universe, his possessions naturally increases his enmity, anxiety, mental agitations, pride, and belligerence. Thus, one goes through such endeavor to increase and maintain his possessions, and he suffers great unhappiness when he loses them. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita 4.11, the Lord says, Ye yatha mam prapatyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vatmanu bhartante manusyaha partha sarvashah. As the devotees surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. O son of Pritha, both Indra and Vritasara were certainly devotees of the Lord. Although Indra took instructions from Vishnu to kill Vritasura, the Lord was actually more favorable to Vritasura because after being killed by Indra's thunderbolt, Vritasura would go back to Godhead, whereas the victorious Indra would rot in this material world. Because both of them were devotees, the Lord awarded them the respective benedictions they wanted. Vritasura never wanted material positions, for he knew very well the nature of such positions. To accumulate material positions, one must labor very hard. And when he gets them, he creates many enemies because this material world is always full of rivalry. If one becomes rich, his friends or relatives are envious. For Ekanta Bhaktas, unalloyed devotees, Krishna therefore never provides material positions. A devotee sometimes need some material positions for preaching, but the positions of a preacher are not like those of a karmi. A karmi's positions are achieved as a result of karma, but those of a devotee are arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead just to facilitate his devotional activities. Because a devotee never uses material positions for any purpose other than the service of the Lord, the positions of a devotee are not to be compared to those of a karmi. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki jai. I beg all of your blessings, all the Maharaj, Govind Maharaj, Vridpati Maharaj, Prasan Maharaj, Nilambar Maharaj, Vishal Maharaj, all the Maharajas and all the Prabhujis and Matajis, knowing my disqualifications, seeking your blessings so that I would able to fulfill the instructions to explain what I understand this sloka. Here, Lord, the mercy potency of the Lord is explained here. Lord is so merciful towards his devotee who suffers the material sufferings, not knowing the nature of this material world. Everybody are working so hard to become happy. None of these two devotees who are explained here is Indra or Vritasura. Both of them are only seeking happiness. One is seeking happiness from the lotus feet of the Lord, and the other is seeking happiness other than the lotus feet of the Lord. He had got the opportunity to seek happiness either from the lotus feet of the Lord or anything other than the lotus feet of the Lord. When they prayed, they submitted their prayer to Lord, and Lord being pleased, Mai Prite. If Lord has become pleased, nothing is unattainable to anyone. Even though Lord become pleased by the prayer, because their intentions, their purview of happiness is not defined, so they are seeking some material benedictions. So it is a clear distinction between the intentions of the becoming devotee or approaching Lord for the shelter is relative to the consciousness of the devotees. Though Indra also seeks some happiness, but he has not been able to define the happiness. Scriptures very well define what happiness is. Even the scripture give an elaborate explanations about happiness. A person's subjective consciousness accommodates it. So the subjective consciousness of Indra, even though he is fully aware of all the aspects, all the science of devotional service, as well as the science of knowledge, science of Krishna consciousness, science of material existence, science of going back Godhead, science of getting freed from the reactions. Everything is known to, not science, the knowledge is known to Indra, but science is not known to Indra. The experiential knowledge, not experimental only, experiential. Experimental is something which is empirical. Experiential is something which is experienced. Something which is non-material, that knowledge can be experiential knowledge. Something which is material, that can be experimental knowledge. So, Vritasura is very much confident about his purpose of life and about his mission of life and about his definitions of happiness by going back Godhead. So why these people, those who work so hard to fulfill the objects of life, get bewildered by so-called definitions of happiness? Vilyamangal Thakur explains that. Dhanam cha manam cha tatha indriyani pranam cha hutta cha mama sarvameva. Dhanam cha manam cha tatha indriyani. Wealth, prestigious, and all that pleases the senses. Not even that, my very self, the very life, and all that belonging to me, I am surrendering to you. Even if I do not surrender, you have stolen it yourself. Devotee just surrender. But he is so attached to these objects that he is not willing to give up. That time Krishna steals. When Krishna becomes merciful, he knows that devotees have surrendered, but he is still protecting his wealth, dhanam, manam, indriyani, pranam, all other things, all other opulences, all other belongings, sarvameva. But Lord steals them. Chinasti ghoram jamapasabandham, bhinasti bhimam bhavapasabandham. Bhima means most fearful. What is that most fearful? Bhavapasa. All these dhanam cha manam cha tatha indriyani is nothing but bhavapasa. Has bound us to this material world. So only Lord can break it. Vinasti means can break it. Vinasti bhimam bhavapasa bandham. Chinasti sarvasya samasta bandham. Naiva atmana bhaktam krutam tu bandham. So the purview of happiness, Bilamangal Thakur explains, that doesn't lies in wealth or in prestiges or anything that pleases our senses. Those are called utilities. You can take the example, sometimes in the childhood, if we get a bicycle, we become so much happy. And in later stage, if you don't have enough money, you got a bike, you become happy. And then later stage, if you become, get a car, also you'll not become happy. So you compare that my colleague or my friend is having bigger car, or that goes on. Car is such a thing, like it starts from Indica, then goes to Ferrari, Rolls Royce. So many things are there. So there is no end to it. Or if somebody like Anil Ambani gets an helicopter, well, then my brother Mukesh Ambani is having better helicopter. Even though they are getting helicopter, then they'll think, oh, Bill Gates is having better helicopter. Then Bill Gates will think Elon Musk is studying about this space, other planetary systems. And so this enviousness has no end. Comparing the self with others, claiming the positions of the self to be better than others, or aspiring the positions of the self is better than the other, has no end to it. They can never escape the entanglement of material nature. Let me explain through science what is this. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, what is escape velocity? Okay. Able to see my screen? Okay. Escape velocity. This kinetic energy is that the energy which we get through the motion. We are in motion of the metal plane, and we have a defined mass. M is mass, V is the velocity in which we are moving in this metal world. So the kinetic energy we have is half mv square. The product of mass and square of velocity divided by 2 is the kinetic energy in which we are moving in this plane. So then G is the gravitational constant. So you can say the constants of the pull that material plane is giving us. And M is the mass of the Maya. And the small m is mass of ourselves. And R is the radius of the earth. So actually, if we throw some stone with sufficient kinetic energy, as much as possible, it will go to some place and then fall down. It will not be able to escape the gravitational pull of earth. The gravitational pull depends on the factor of m, that big M. Big M is that what is the power of Maya, how much accumulations of assets or belongings, dhanam, manam, indriyani, etc. It is so strong. But if you reduce the aim, then the escape velocity required will be less. The escape velocity for other planetary systems are lesser, like who are smaller in dimension. So it is essential that we reduce the mass of Maya. Without mass of Maya being reduced to less, we cannot give that much kinetic energy. The kinetic energy per second is 11.18 kilometers. If you give a velocity of 11.1 kilometer in a second, we know flights having maximum speed of some 2000 kilometer, maybe 1000 kilometer is the average speed. So that also in 3600 seconds. But in a second, when it is propelled with 11.1.18 kilometer, any object can escape the gravitational pull and go out of the boundary of Earth. Similarly, when somebody wants to escape, his surrenderness and his seriousness is required in that speed. It is apparently very, very difficult when the mass of Maya is so strong. If we have so strong accumulations of Maya, we are not living and we are just collecting more and more. Dhanam cha, manam cha, various. That's why Bilamangal Thakur says Indriyani means various sense-pleasing object. And not only five senses, the topmost is mind. So to satisfy our mind and ego, we have so many definitions of happiness. But in actual, they are utilities. They are not happiness. Just like we explained about this car or bikes or bicycles, whatever, they are utilities. They satisfy for a very certain durations and very small durations, and this is a concocted happiness, a own set of definitions which we have provided wrongly. So seeking happiness in utility, not in essence, is the biggest defect in ourselves. So what is essence and what is utility? Utility is anything that make us as a tool to achieve some work. So sometimes we face some difficulties in doing some work, then we try to arrange certain utility. That is the plan of arrangement of utilities. We have so many big plans to arrange the utilities, but we have never made a plan how to become happy. Have we ever designed? Have we ever studied what happiness is? Have we ever tried to remove the misconceptions of happiness? Have we ever tried to find the boundary or the purview of happiness? Have we ever tried that to remove the objects of unhappiness? No. The straight answer is no. We always try to define utility as happiness, and we always try to action on utilities, not on the subject of happiness. So the real subject of happiness lies in consciousness. Consciousness is something which is non-material. The definition of consciousness never lies in particle, never lies in wave. It is a non-material object. It is not in the purview of non-dual substance also. So the three definitions which is applied in the study of consciousness. Someone says, it can be having wave nature. Someone say it is having quantum nature. So, what to speak of consciousness? Electrons, position and momentum could not be studied together. So, uncertain is the nature of the matter. So, with these limitations of knowledge, with these limitations of our capability to capture electron, how do we capture a non-material substance, which is consciousness? So this consciousness, unless guided by Supreme Personality of Godhead, can never be controlled, can never be harnessed. So the harnessing strategy of consciousness is only lies by the power of Sri Guru and Krishna. All other top scholars, their knowledge is baffled to understand the purview of science itself. Those who do not understand the purview of science, Heisenberg or Einstein's, the big scientists, they come to understood that our science is very limited. We cannot even define the position and moment of electron. What to speak of other things? So they have got some realizations through their scientific study that there is existence of non-material power or superpower who is being guiding us through their intellectual humility. The petty study of sciences sometimes brings the egos and make the payload of the mass bigger and bigger. So they will never be able to obtain the ultimate meaning and purpose of life. They will never be able to grasp the purview of happiness. So it is essential for every one of us to define, understand, and cultivate and make a very nice design and plan to achieve the ultimate happiness. Here, Vritasura is very much successful in achieving this. Being known that whatever I do, he has having a very gigantic body. None of the demigods can ever overpower him. Yet, he understood that these all are useless. Vritasura was opulent in everything that could be seen in material world. Yet he understood the purview of happiness is beyond all these utilities. These utilities are simply waste unless it is used in the devotional service of the Lord. We make so many big plans. Sometimes all of our plans become fail, and then we become so morose on those subjects. And sometimes we take dedications also. Sometimes even we become brahmachari, sannyas. But if we still do not come out of the consciousness of utility, brahmachari, sannyas again become utility. So being in that dress, you might escape from the responsibility of family, responsibility of so many, material responsibility might be freed. If the utility is not understood in the purview of happiness, 1 minute, then will not be able to escape. What will happen? Then labha, puja, pratishtha. There are two divisions: bhukti, mukti, spruha, bhukti, mukti, siddhikam, and labha, puja, pratishtha. So you may just change the platform or the purview of utility, but utility is still there. Labha, puja, pratishtha is again utility. If all these utilities, whatever we are doing, is not fully utilized for the service of the God or service of Krishna, if they are not fully surrendered to Krishna, then it becomes a burden to us. To maintain it and to increase it, We don't want to lose it. But however, if we are fully surrendered like Billamangal Thakur, then Lord himself steals away. We may not achieve this great velocity, but Lord is so merciful that he pulls us. It's very difficult to push the stone out of the escape velocity, but Lord can pull it. So depends on the mercy upon Guru and Krishna. Very well, we should put our endeavor, but we must understand that it is beyond our reach or capability most of the time. But Guru and Krishna, if Guru gives us some instructions, we are so fortunate that Guru gives us some instructions, which is directly the instruction of the Lord. If you are pleasing Guru, then Krishna will be pleased. And there is a top secret in this, that when you have Sri Guru and Krishna, first give priority to Sri Guru. It's a very practical example, because Krishna pleases through Guru, not by directly. Suppose you have flower to offer and you are thinking whom to offer, Guru or Krishna. If you are offering Krishna, then you have not chosen the right path or swift path. You have chosen the, maybe path is not wrong, but you have not chosen the swifter path. To please Krishna is to please through Guru is more important than pleasing Krishna directly offering. So it is very essential that first you offer your homage to Guru. If somebody offer this way the homages to Sri Guru, by the blessings of Sri Guru, Krishna become very pleased, and by the pleasing of Guru and Krishna, Krishna is the biggest thief. He can steal all this. And that time you may cry for sometimes, and later you will understand, oh, Lord only bestowed his mercy upon me. So we must beg Lord, please steal all these things which is not essential, or give me the empowerment or the power to utilize all this utility for your service, and the essence I need is your service, your love. So this Bhava is like that. Nijera posana kabhu na bhabibo rahibo bhavera bhore bhakati vinoda tomare palaka boliya varana kore. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur is singing that I will never be worried how I can be maintained. Kabhuna bhabibo. Never think. Never think means fully dependent upon Lord, and leave ourselves on the plan of God. Whatever way you are guiding me, I am very much happy on that. I have no second thought. Guru Mukha Padmavakya Chitate Karya Akya. Akya means there is no second thought. Whatever Guru has ordered me, that is the only aspirations and only subject matter for me to do. No other utility. Only one utility is what my Guru has asked me. Any other utility I possess is certainly going to cause harm, unless it is granted or allowed by my Guru. So Guru Mukha Padmavakya Chitate Karya Aikya is the essence, all other are utility. So utility simply causes moho janamiya anitya sansare jiboke karaye gadha. Increases load. The load is increases, how will escape from this material world? We need to escape from this material world. And that is also very clear. With our own effort we may not. But yet we have to put humble effort and pray Sri Guru. We may not have effort, we may not have capability, but my Guru has capability. Krishna can do this. If my Guru prays for me, Krishna can definitely steal all this, can lighten us lighter than a thread. Then can escape. Thank you very much. I have reached the time limit, I understood. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you for this wonderful explanation, and I can say that this is one of your best classes. Yeah, and yes, anyone is having any question, they can raise the hand and ask His Grace Akurada Paramananda Prabhuji. Yes, Sai Krishna Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Maharaj,
Nice class, Maharaj, today.
no, I'm not Maharaj. I am a Gresta.
Okay.
Maharajas are here. Govind Maharaj and other Maharajas are here.
Nice, Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhuji. Please ask.
Actually, scientists also accept the theory of matter and antimatter, no, Prabhu?
Theory of matter and
theory,
antimatter.
आपको मालूम है ना, Prabhu?
Yes.
Scientific, yeah. We think that that Parloka, what we think where Krishna resides, and Goloka and all the Vaikuntha lokas is a antimatter, and we live in the materialistic world, no, Prabhu. So, I want to know the scientific reason, the scientific theory, how Krishna is controlling from there, like how you have escaped about the escape velocity theory now, how he is controlling from there our Earth and the other planets from that antimatter world, and what is the scientific difference between that planets and here? How the gravities or other velocities depend?
So we have that Einstein's relative theory. So different inertial framework. Okay. So this varies in framework to framework. So the momentum and the moment of inertia that we see here, the gravitational force, you see that is relative to that inertial frame of inertia. So it varies in different planetary systems. But your question about matter and antimatter, right? So matter
no. Actually, I want to know please explain the scientific basis how the Krishna is controlling all the universe. The scientific basis. Spiritually, we know the reason. So because he is the supreme personality, but scientifically, how we can prove he is controlling the universe and everything? How the gravity depends upon the Vaikuntha lokas and our present Bhuloka.
You want the explanations from scientific point of view. So there are the approach. One is that from scientific view or scientific empirical evidence, we cannot understand. Okay, so we can experience it. How we can experience? When we understand the limitations of our present science. If we are not able to approach, we are not able to understand electron itself. We are not able to define mass. Are we able to define mass? If we are not able to, calculate the position and momentum of electron simultaneously, if we don't know the quantum gravity, so how will explain mass itself? Neither we understood mass nor we understood electron. Then how we can explain that all these non-material principles? Now we are talking about material objects which we know as electron, mass, and all this is not yet defined and in our present science. So then when we are going back to non-material objects like consciousness, so our individual consciousness is maintained by a supreme consciousness who is supreme personality of Godhead. So supreme personality of Godhead, he has given us a top-down knowledge. So there are two approach of our knowledge gathering. One is bottom up. Through our empirical study, we try to reach to the top. And other is top down. The knowledge which has come from the authorities or from the source of our knowledge, like Lord Krishna through Brahma, Narada, Vyasadeva in a Guru Parampara system. it comes to us. That is called top-down knowledge systems. So top-down knowledge system can also be experienced when we practice Krishna consciousness. Then when we can able to visualize the difference between spirit and matter. The objective, you said that matter antimatter. Some scientists are able to say this, and some able to believe and others not. Because something like antimatter and all these are some clues. Similarly, more clues can be developed when we practice the top down knowledge, and with those clues we'll try to understand the basis of this existence, and the consciousness is something non-material. Then we'll study what are the non-material aspects, just like our spirit soul, uh, which is, so we have three level of understanding. One is physical, other is psychological, then spiritual. Physical level, so science only study at physical level. Then philosophical study goes to psychological level, and above this psychological and physiological or philosophical level is the level of spirituality. So when we come to the domain of spirituality, in that domain we can experience the deeper subjects of the very self and the universal affairs. Otherwise we will not able to understand that. So certain things which is beyond the limitations of the senses, we cannot see, we cannot perceive it, no matter how big a telescope we do, no matter how quantum machines are being developed or quantum computing is developed. Quantum computing, we have a big claim to do quantum computing. So what is that? IBM defined at phase 3 15 years to achieve quantum computing, but it's not at our purview. Even we do quantum computing also, but can we grasp something material like electron also? No. So with our tools, with our utility, will not be able to understand. So we have to take the top down knowledge, we have to take the defines axioms of spiritual scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, practice in our day to day life. When we'll become realized about the purview of happiness, and when we will be able to meditate on the higher aspects of spiritual realizations, we'll able to see it. So when like Lord Krishna blessed Arjuna could see the universal form. Then only he could understand the universal affairs. Then he need not to ask a scientist, please explain me how this universe does exist. So it is beyond the purview of our science. So certain things we have to practice and understand. So only best thing science can help is that how much can we reach through the science, and if we get the intellectual humility, we'll understand that science has a limitations, and certain things which we cannot understand from science, and certain things which not to be understood through science. There is a science that is called the science of experience, the science of God. So science of spirit soul, all these we have to learn from our holy scriptures, like Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Practice it, then we ourselves can realize it.
Yeah, thank you, Akurad Prabhuji, and I really appreciate our Sai Krishna Prabhu for this inquisitiveness about understanding the spiritual knowledge scientifically. Yeah, we are having a long journey. We'll go together, yes. So for time being, I think this answer is satisfactory. Yeah, if
Thank you,
you
Prabhu.
want any, yeah. Anyone else would like to ask any question? Yeah, Govind Maharaji, please.
Hare Krishna, Krodji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavad, your blessing Maharaj.
What a wonderful explanation. I wish I was a science student. I would have realized this much more. But anyway, it was really, really delight to hear such wonderfully explained. And your insertion of Bilumangal Thakur, that was the cream, topping. That was very wonderful insertion. My question is regarding this Krishna stealing, thing which is difficult for the living entity to give up. Krishna stealing. And so two phases, you covered this phase of the stealing, because in today's shloka, the thing is that Krishna just does not give, so that then it becomes difficult to become attached. After one becomes attached, then Krishna has to steal it. But so the stealing, when one steals something, Krishna is, the psychology of stealing, because this question that Krishna steals something from his devotee or sadhakas or whatever. And you want to throw some light that the stealing which Krishna performs to bless his devotees, is the shloka you are mentioning. Stealing when one does not get what by asking or praying, not praying, but if I need something, if I ask someone, and if I cannot get it by own means, then I steal. Correct? The same principle applies to Krishna. That's the first question. Second is regarding the matter and the spirit, the weight of the matter we experience because of what, and the beauty of the spirit, we remain deprived. So the balance which the contrast which you drove was so beautiful. It just is there something with matters, the divisibility, and the spirit has the unification. In that context, you want to throw some light, because you are very evolved in this subject today's. So I just was thinking, what is the nature of the matter which keeps us so stuck, and how the spirit or the consciousness will give us the ultimate unification with the absolute.
Thank you, Maharaj. Actually, your question also has answer, and you have the right answer in the mind. First thing you told about when somebody steals. So somebody steals, like that is the ordinary living entity's nature. When they are unable to attend some things with any other mean, so they may try to steal. But some other people's nature that just steal, don't put any other endeavor to achieve certain things. So it's a different kind of mentality for ordinary living entities. But Lord's nature is definitely this, that Lord gives enough hints and give enough opportunities to rectify someone. He instructs through scripture, he instructs through sadhu, through guru, and even he give hints through Paramatma. But yet, if devotee is still too much attracted, and Lord is willing to deliver him, so he steals. And only Lord, so Lord has, we cannot define a boundary that to whom Lord will bless, to whom or not. He is Swarat. But mostly when a pure devotee pleases to deliver someone, when a pure devotee prays Lord, in that occasion, Lord gives special favor. And to whom Lord gives special favor, only those persons Lord take this special care. So certain things like honorary degree is not given to anybody. Right? So it is our endeavor only. We have to put our endeavor to get some qualifications. So honorary degree means a person is very much qualified in various domains. He's already very much qualified. And here the qualifications is how serious we are to obtain this blessings of Lord. How much faith in Lord and how serious we are to achieve the lotus feet of the Lord. If one is very serious, and if one has 100% convictions that Lord will be merciful to him, and Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of everything and everybody, and he's also my maintainer. He has full conviction that Lord is my maintainer, and he has full conviction that whatever Lord does to me, I have to accept, even though it is not palatable to me. So for such devotees, definitely Krishna gives this special favor. So Chaitanya Charitamrita also says the same sloka. Amay bhajiya mage vishwa. So mudhara mangala tumhe anasya edase na bhava para. I am being a mudha, but you are Vigya. Krishna is Vigya. But a living entity can become a mudha. Mudha means who is not aware of the real meaning of anything, or is a subject matter. So he fails there. But Krishna is the topmost wise person. So he will never give such things which is act in a mudha mentality. If something is asked with a bigger mentality, then Lord has nothing to deny. Lord gives that, and with that bigger mentality, he also engages that fully in the service of Lord. But in Muda mentality, if somebody asks and Lord want to give him real favor, then Lord never gives that. Vishaya sukho kene devo, nijo pada padma diya, nijo pada padma bhakti diya, he gives Vishaya bhulaibo. Vishaya bhulaibo. He makes him forget about those subject matter by giving him the lotus feet of himself. So that is the power of, that is the special favor of Lord. That was about your first question. And second question, that how we can find something from this, difference between matter and spirit, the nature of the matter and spirit. If you study further nature of matter, that with intellectual humility and all this, we may sometimes able to understand that jahi sansparsaja bhoga dukkha janayavate adyantavanta konteya natesu ramate buddha. But sometimes this study of knowledge and all these do not help. So that that is there. Those who are humble, they humbly study, they come to this point. Jahi sansparsaja bhoga dukkha janayavate. Others, even though they have the knowledge, but they cannot experience it. So they do not become experienced on this knowledge, that by touching or by engaging in this subject matter, I will suffer. So only that remain in the knowledge. So yet they put their finger in the fire. So they get burned, repeatedly burned, not yet experienced. And that time Lord become merciful. Oh, this boy is not going to experience the burn of fire by even putting the fingers. Let me help him. Then he gives the special favor. I try to answer, Maharaj. You please elaborate.
It's wonderful, wonderful. It's such a delight, such a feast to the soul. Because Bhaktivedanta Institute must love this class, your presentation today, because a lot of scientists and science background students, it's a very intriguing and very wonderfully explained. I will no, my concept of matter and spirit was matter has the quality that the transformation or the vikar, what you call in scientific language vikar. The matter, however one attaches to, even identifying itself, it loses its effect, correct? Matter means, another classic definition of matter could be something which is which does not last. It doesn't last forever. It's moving, and still to identify with matter, with our true nature, that we want something lasting, we want some even happiness lasting in everything. So the attachment of matter has been baffling us since eternity. How to search out? It's a human inquisitiveness to search out that matter. My definition of spirit is that matter, because matter is very attaching, like attachment to a body. So let us find out that body which will not perish. So in that context, you throw some light that if we define even also spirit also as matter. Matter means something, correct? Matter not in this context, molecules and all this thing. Something, some stuff which does not have the inebrities or the imperfections or the decaying capacity of something. Because spiritual world is also made of, when we say spirit, but it is also matter. It is something, correct?
Yeah. Okay, Maharaj. Hello.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, do moderator have time allot to speak further, or we'll take this to next class?
Yes, Prabhuji, maybe we can conclude for the day.
Okay, we have to also respect moderators.
Yeah, but moderator sir, can we ask our Prabhu, because I think he has something I wanted to hear a little bit. Is it okay?
Maybe for one more minute we can have and we can conclude.
1 minute, 60 seconds you
Okay.
have.
Okay. Yeah, Maharaj was asking a very wonderful question, that transformations of matter and understanding the the lack of everlasting means eternity in matter. Uh, so it is to be understood. It is to be understood. It is to be experienced. So when we say about that transformation, yes, transformation is possible. So all that matter, if engaged in the service of the Lord, can be transformed into pure devotional service. So that will not harm us. But if we are not able to do so, then that will cause bondages to us. There is a science which is very well explained in Bhagavad Gita, that if you are fully detached from the tendency of enjoying matter, and if you are doing without a orientations of without a sarva what is that, kama sankalpa varjitaha. So before starting a work, if you have no plan of enjoying that kama sankalpa, because before starting a work we have lots of kama sankalpa. If we free ourselves from that, karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phalesya kadachana, ma karma phala hetu bhurmate sangastu akarmani. With this science of knowledge, when we start work by not being attached to the result and rendering the result to Lord, and understanding that this result is also not driven by me but by Lord, so then we slowly understand better the matter. And matter also do not troubles much to us. We get freed from the reactions, we get freed from the bondages, and that also can get transformed, just like in Jharkhand, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. uh, all these wild animals change their consciousness. They they transform their consciousness to pure spiritual consciousness. They all danced. They gave up their material behavior. Even water changed its behavior, flowing to become stone, and stone changed its behavior uh, to water. So matter can transform. So when the power and the blessings of Supreme Personality of Godhead comes to transform matter, matter can also transform. So then what is the essence? The essence is that we must exclusively take shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. We must exclusively we must exclusively surrender ourselves or work for the pleasure of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then only this transformation can happen. If we have any tinge of deviations, then we will fall in trap. That's why it is better to be very cautious on this subject matter and always try to fully engage as per the guideline of Sri Guru and Krishna. Don't go beyond the boundary. That's right. Thank you, Maharaj. I think it's
Most
just a
beautiful.
minute.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We can conclude for the day.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving the opportunity. And thank you all Maharajas for blessing me. All of your blessing only able to make me speak something. And any fault is mine. Any good thing is because of your blessings, because of my Guru Maharaj's blessings. Thank you to all Vaishnavas, all Maharajas, Swamijis, Matajis, Prabhujis. Hare Krishna. Jai Guru Maharaj Prasipad ki.
Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai, jai, jai.
Jai.
Jai Gaur Premanand. Hare
His Grace Akral Paramanand Prabhuji ki Jai.
Jai, jai, jai.
Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you one and all for joining. See you all in tomorrow's class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.